You said I'd never be someone. Now my name stands above you, witchy, in broad daylight.
I'm standing there nursing a bourbon, trying to make small talk with some investors, when I see her across the ballroom. Jessica, my ex-wife, the woman who ripped my heart out 8 years ago because I wasn't successful enough for her vision of the perfect life. She's wearing this shimmering emerald gown that probably cost more than 3 months of our old apartment rent. Her laughter echoing across the room in that practiced, artificial way I remember too well. And she's not alone. Her arm is linked with Derek, the finance executive she left me for back when I was drowning in startup debt and working 70-hour weeks just to keep my head above water. Let me back up and paint you the full picture of how we got here, because context matters. Jessica and I met in college, way back when life was simpler and dreams felt achievable. I was working 3 part-time jobs just to afford tuition. Mornings at a coffee shop, afternoons doing data entry, nights waiting tables at a mediocre Italian restaurant. I was constantly exhausted, running on 4 hours of sleep, surviving on caffeine, and the sheer stubborn belief that I could build something meaningful. Jessica was there through all of it, or at least that's what I convinced myself at the time. She said she admired my work ethic, that she loved my ambition, that she believed in my dreams of building something in the hospitality industry. We got married young, both of us convinced we'd create this amazing life together. For a while, maybe a year or two, it actually felt like we would. But here's the brutal truth about people who claim they love your ambition. They often only love the romantic idea of it, not the ugly, grinding reality. The reality is coming home at midnight smelling like fryer grease and marinara sauce because you've been working a double shift to save money. It's driving a beat-up Honda Civic with 200,000 miles on it and a check engine light that's been on for 6 months because you can't afford the repair. It's living in a cramped studio apartment with paper-thin walls where you can hear every single argument your neighbors have, every footstep, every late-night TV show. It's eating ramen noodles and canned soup for weeks because you're funneling every spare dollar into your business dream. I was building a hospitality consulting business from absolute scratch. The concept was solid. I'd spent years working in hotels and restaurants, learning the industry from the ground up, making connections with owners and managers. My plan was to help boutique hotels optimize their operations, improve guest experiences, increase profitability. But starting from nothing is brutal. Money was tight, beyond tight. We were living paycheck to paycheck, and half the time my paychecks were going right back into business expenses. Marketing materials, website hosting, travel to meet potential clients, professional certifications, it all added up. I watched Jessica's initial enthusiasm slowly curdle into resentment over the course of about 2 years. She stopped introducing me to her friends from her corporate office job. When she did have to introduce me, she'd be deliberately vague about what I did for work, like she was embarrassed. "He's in hospitality," she'd say dismissively, making it sound like I was a bellhop. Her parents absolutely hated me from the very beginning. I once overheard her mother saying to her, "He's never going to be able to provide for you properly. You need someone established, someone with a real career, not some dreamer chasing fantasies that'll never pan out." Jessica never defended me when her parents talked like that. She just nodded along or changed the subject. That should have been my first major red flag, but I was too in love and too stubborn to see it clearly. The end came on a Tuesday night that I'll never forget. I'd just worked a 16-hour day, trying desperately to land a major consulting contract with a boutique hotel chain. I came home completely exhausted, every muscle aching, my brain foggy from lack of sleep. I found her sitting on our threadbare couch that we'd bought secondhand for $50, arms crossed, this ice-cold expression on her face that I'd never seen before. "This isn't working anymore," she said flatly, no emotion in her voice whatsoever. "I can't do this anymore." I was so tired I could barely process what she was saying. I actually thought maybe she was talking about the couch or the apartment. "What do you mean?" She let out this long, exasperated sigh like I was being deliberately stupid. "I mean, I'm done waiting, Daniel. You keep promising things will get better, but they haven't. You're still in the exact same place you were 3 years ago, still struggling, still broke, still chasing this dream that's clearly never going to happen. I can't waste my best years, my prime years, betting on something that might never pay off." Her words felt like physical blows. Each sentence landed harder than the last. I'd sacrificed absolutely everything for our future. My health, my sleep, my relationships with friends and family. I'd worked myself nearly to end trying to build something we could be proud of. And she'd already written me off as a complete failure not worth her patience. I need stability, she continued, her voice cold and clinical. I need someone who can actually provide the kind of life I deserve, someone who has their life together. That stung more than anything. The implication that I didn't have my life together, that I was somehow less than, that I wasn't man enough or successful enough to deserve her. 2 weeks later, she moved in with Derek, some guy she'd met at her gym who worked at an investment firm, drove a brand new BMW, lived in a luxury high-rise downtown with a doorman and everything. He was everything I wasn't: polished, established, successful, wealthy. At least, that's what it looked like from the outside. That breakup absolutely destroyed me for the better part of 6 months. I spiraled hard, barely functioned, stopped taking care of myself, questioned everything about my life choices. I was drowning in self-doubt, wondering if Jessica was right, if I really was just some delusional failure clinging desperately to an impossible pipe dream. Some nights I'd lie awake thinking maybe I should just give up, get a normal 9-to-5 job, accept mediocrity. But then something shifted inside me. The pain didn't go away, but it transformed. It became fuel, rocket fuel. I channeled every ounce of hurt and anger and humiliation into my work with an intensity that probably bordered on unhealthy, but it worked. I studied everything I could about luxury hospitality, read every book, took every course, attended every conference. I learned what made high-end clients tick, what they valued, how to create experiences people would pay premium prices for. I started networking aggressively, made connections with wealthy investors who could see past my current circumstances to my vision. I worked as a consultant for boutique hotels, and I was damn good at it. My clients saw immediate results: increased bookings, better reviews, higher profit margins. Word spread, more clients came. I started making real money, then serious money. I invested smart, saved aggressively, planned meticulously. 5 years after Jessica left me, I opened my first property, an exclusive members-only resort in Aspen that immediately became the destination for wealthy clientele. Celebrities, tech billionaires, old money families, they all wanted in. The business absolutely exploded in ways I'd never imagined. Within a year, we were turning away guests. More locations followed: a beachfront property in the Bahamas, a ski resort in Switzerland, an urban luxury hotel in Manhattan. Investors were throwing money at me. The business grew faster than I could keep up with. 10 years of relentless grinding, and I'd built Meridian Luxury Group into one of the most prestigious hotel and resort chains in the world, with properties across North America, Europe, and Asia. We weren't just successful, we were the gold standard of luxury hospitality. When wealthy people wanted the absolute best, they came to us. The last valuation put my personal net worth around $2.3 billion, with a B. So yeah. The guy Jessica thought would never amount to anything, the guy she abandoned because he wasn't successful fast enough, had become a billionaire while she was playing trophy wife to a finance bro. Back to the charity gala. Jessica still hasn't spotted me yet. She's too busy working the room like a seasoned socialite, making sure everyone sees her designer dress and jewelry, touching Derek's sleeve possessively every few seconds, like he's her prized possession. Then her gaze sweeps across the room and lands directly on me. I watch her eyes widen in recognition for just a split second before her lips curl into this condescending smirk. She leans in, whispers something to Derek while keeping her eyes on me. They both turn and start walking toward me with this confident stride. Jessica's wearing that fake sweet expression I remember so well from whenever she was about to say something cutting. Daniel? Oh my God, I can't believe it's actually you. It's been, 8 years? Her voice is syrupy sweet, but I can hear the mockery underneath like she's talking to a child. What brings you here? I was invited, I say simply, keeping my expression completely neutral and taking a slow sip of my bourbon. Really? She glances around the opulent ballroom. Crystal chandeliers, marble floors, designer everything, like she's trying to figure out if I'm lying, like a guy like me couldn't possibly belong at an event this upscale and exclusive. Derek joins us then, extending his hand with this smug confidence that radiates entitlement. Derek Morrison, CEO of Morrison Capital Holdings? The way he says it, emphasizing CEO like he's establishing dominance. I shake his hand firmly. Daniel Lawson. Jessica's smirk widens like she's just confirmed her worst assumptions about me. So Daniel, what have you been up to all these years? There it is. The question I've been waiting for. The bait. She wants to hear that I'm still struggling, still scraping by, still the same failure she left behind 8 years ago. Oh, I say casually, Just working, keeping busy. She sighs dramatically, like she's genuinely sympathetic. You always were such a hard worker, I'll give you that. What kind of work are you doing now? Derek chuckles condescendingly, swirling the champagne in his crystal flute. Let me take a guess here. Hotel management? Maybe assistant manager at a place like this? I let their assumptions just hang in the air, not confirming or denying anything. Jessica's eyes are practically glowing with this mixture of pity and satisfaction. She's loving this. You know, Derek, she says, turning to him, Daniel and I used to be married. Can you believe it? We had, well, let's just say, very humble beginnings. The way she emphasizes humble makes it sound like something embarrassing and shameful. You never mentioned you were married before, Derek says, raising his eyebrows with mild interest. She shrugs dismissively. It wasn't worth bringing up, honestly. Ancient history, water under the bridge. The past is definitely in the past, I agree, nodding slowly. Jessica turns her full attention back to me, and I can see she's enjoying this immensely. I would absolutely love to see your workplace. I'm sure it's very charming, very quaint. I hold her gaze steadily. You really want a tour? Why not? She links her arm through Derek's possessively. I'd genuinely love to see what you've made of yourself after all these years. Derek smirks, clearly thinking this will be entertaining, maybe even something they can laugh about later. Yeah, could be interesting to see. I exhale slowly, letting just the smallest smile touch my lips. Of course, I'd be happy to show you around my workplace. Jessica practically beams, absolutely certain she's won whatever twisted game she's playing in her head. She has absolutely no idea that this entire luxury hotel we're standing in, every chandelier, every marble tile, every piece of expensive art on the walls, belongs to me. That I'm not just some employee. I'm the billionaire, CEO, and founder of the company that owns this property and dozens of others just like it around the world. This is going to be fun. As I lead them toward the private elevators, my mind drifts back to everything I built after she left. All those late nights, those calculated risks, those moments where I almost gave up but somehow found the strength to push through anyway. I remember the first time I stayed in a luxury hotel as a paying guest instead of an employee. How surreal and almost emotional it felt. The first time I saw my company name on the side of a building. The first time I realized that I'd actually made it, that I'd proven everyone wrong. And Jessica had missed all of it because she couldn't wait, because she needed immediate gratification instead of being willing to invest in a future together. We step into the elevator, the private one reserved for executives and VIP guests, all brass fixtures and mirrors. Jessica's still wearing that confident smirk, exchanging knowing looks with Derek like they're about to witness something pathetic and amusing. So, how long have you been working here exactly? She asks as the elevator begins to rise. Quite a while, I reply vaguely. Derek laughs, a sound full of condescension. I bet you've seen plenty of entitled rich a-holes walk through those doors over the years, huh? Must get old dealing with that crowd. You have absolutely no idea, I murmur, suppressing a smile. Jessica raises a perfectly sculpted eyebrow. What exactly is your position here? I meet her gaze in the elevator mirror, my expression completely unreadable. You'll see soon enough. Patience. The elevator dings softly as we reach the executive floor, the very top of the building. The doors slide open with a quiet whoosh, revealing a space that is clearly, obviously not what either of them expected to see. Floor-to-ceiling windows offering panoramic views of the entire city skyline, polished Italian marble floors that probably cost more per square foot than their monthly rent, modern art pieces I personally selected from galleries in New York and Paris, worth 6 figures each, and impeccably dressed people in designer suits conducting high-level business meetings in glass-walled conference rooms. Jessica literally freezes in place. I watch her brain trying desperately to process what she's seeing, trying to reconcile this with whatever image she had in her mind of my quaint little workplace. Derek shifts uncomfortably, his earlier confidence starting to crack. Wait, why are we on the executive floor? This is where I work, I say simply, gesturing for them to follow me down the wide corridor. You work up here? On the executive floor? Jessica's voice has lost most of its confidence, replaced by confusion and the first hints of uncertainty. Before I can respond, my executive assistant Charlotte approaches from one of the offices. She's impeccably professional, poised, every inch the representation of our company's world-class prestige. Good evening, Mr. Lawson, she says with a polite, respectful nod. Your board meeting has been confirmed for tomorrow morning at 9. The finance team sent over the quarterly reports from our Dubai expansion. Everything exceeded projections, by the way, and all the documents have been uploaded to your private server. Is there anything else you need before your dinner meeting tonight? The silence that follows is absolutely deafening. Jessica's face completely drains of color. Derek's smug smirk vanishes like it never existed. I turn to face them both fully, keeping my voice perfectly calm and controlled. Let me reintroduce myself properly. Daniel Lawson, founder and CEO of Meridian Luxury Group. Jessica's lips part slightly, her breath actually catching audibly. Derek's grip on her arm visibly tightens, as panic flickers unmistakably across his face. For 8 long years, Jessica has assumed I was beneath her, forgotten, left behind to struggle in obscurity while she lived her perfect life. But tonight, right here, that comfortable illusion is shattering into 1,000 pieces. I gesture casually down the hallway. Shall we continue the tour? I think you wanted to see where I work. The next 20 minutes are absolutely delicious. I walk them through my empire piece by piece, watching their reactions shift from confusion to shock to something approaching horror. I show them my massive corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows, custom Italian furniture, original artwork worth more than most people's houses. The presidential conference room where my executive team conducts meetings that shape $100 million deals and international expansions. The private executive lounge reserved exclusively for VIP clients and board members, stocked with bottles of whiskey and wine that cost more than most people's monthly mortgage payment. Every step we take, Jessica looks more shaken, more pale. Every new revelation, Derek gets quieter, his jaw getting tighter. I watch the realization dawn on them slowly, painfully, like watching a car crash in slow motion. We take another elevator up to the penthouse level. I push open the massive double doors to reveal the Meridian Signature Suite, the absolute crown jewel of the entire property. The space is genuinely breathtaking. Floor-to-ceiling windows offering 360-degree panoramic views of the city, a private infinity pool that seems to extend into the sky itself, furniture handcrafted by European artisans, silk curtains imported from France, a marble fireplace that's more sculpture than functional feature. Every single detail has been meticulously curated for the absolute pinnacle of luxury living. Jessica steps inside very hesitantly, her trembling fingers grazing the fabric of a velvet chair, like she's afraid to fully touch it. "This is absolutely incredible," she whispers, her voice barely audible. Derek forces a laugh, but it comes out strained. "Okay, so how much does a night in a place like this actually cost?" I meet his gaze directly. "The starting rate is $20,000 per night." His forced laugh dies instantly in his throat. Jessica's eyes go wide as saucers. "20,000? For one night?" "That's just the base rate," I add casually. "For our regular high-season pricing. Some guests stay for weeks or even months at a time. We had a Saudi prince rent this exact suite for 2 months straight last summer. Didn't even blink at the bill." The irony is not lost on me for even a second. Jessica left me because she desperately wanted wealth, luxury, security, status. She walked away because she didn't think I could provide the lifestyle she felt she deserved. And the man she abandoned went on to build a literal empire around those exact things. Luxury, exclusivity, wealth. She could have had all of this if she'd just been patient, if she just believed in me. Instead, she traded me for Derek and his illusion of success. We continue through the corridors, and I show them absolutely everything. The world-class spa that employs Olympic-level massage therapists and estheticians. The private event spaces that regularly host celebrity weddings with million-dollar budgets. The rooftop restaurant with a Michelin-starred chef and a waiting list that's currently 6 months long. I let them absorb every detail, every manifestation of the success Jessica told me I'd never achieve. Back in my office, I pour myself a generous glass of scotch from a crystal decanter. The bottle alone costs more than the car I used to drive. "Would either of you like a drink?" I ask, playing the perfect host. Derek waves his hand dismissively, trying to maintain some semblance of dignity. "We're fine, thanks." But Jessica reaches for a glass of wine with slightly shaking hands. She needs it. Needs something to dull the humiliation that's clearly washing over her. I take a slow sip, watching them both over the rim of my glass. "You once told me something, Jessica? You said I'd never be successful, that I wasn't worth waiting for." I paused deliberately. "Tell me honestly, do you still believe that?" Her fingers tighten around the wine glass so hard I worry she might shatter it. Derek, sensing the tension, tries to salvage something from this disaster. "Look, Adrian, this is impressive. I'll absolutely give you that. But at the end of the day, success isn't just about money, right? It's about happiness, fulfillment, meaningful relationships, not just wealth and material things. I let out a low, dark chuckle. That's a fascinating perspective, Derek, especially coming from the man who literally judged me 30 minutes ago based entirely on where he assumed I worked. His jaw clenches visibly. Before he can formulate a response, Charlotte appears at my office door again. Mr. Lawson, your car is ready downstairs whenever you need it for your dinner meeting. I nod to her, then turn my attention back to my uncomfortable guests. I really should get going. I have an important dinner with potential investors for our Tokyo expansion. But before you leave, I want you both to remember something. I pause, letting the weight of the moment settle. Next time either of you thinks of me as just another low-level worker, just another nobody, remember whose name is on the building? Remember who actually made it? The air in my office feels absolutely suffocating. Jessica can barely even look at me anymore. Derek's face is flushed red with humiliation and impotent anger. I gesture smoothly to Charlotte. Please escort our guests to the lobby. Of course, Mr. Lawson. I watch them leave, Jessica's expensive heels clicking rapidly against the marble floors as reality crashes down around both of them. She'd traded away our future because she thought she was betting on something better, something guaranteed. And now she's standing face to face with the man she'd completely underestimated, finally realizing exactly what she threw away. But here's where the story gets even better, even more satisfying. A few days later, I had my research team do a comprehensive background check on Derek Morrison. Call it curiosity, call it due diligence, call it petty revenge if you want, I don't care. What we uncovered was absolutely fascinating. Derek's finance firm, Morrison Capital Holdings, that he'd introduced himself with so proudly, it had collapsed completely 6 months earlier. Full bankruptcy filing, assets completely depleted, desperate loans from questionable sources just to keep up appearances. The luxury apartment, the BMW, the expensive suits, the whole carefully crafted image, all of it was pure smoke and mirrors. He was drowning in debt, barely holding his life together with both hands while pretending to be a high-flying successful executive. Jessica had left me because she wanted security and stability, and she'd ended up with a man who was even more broke than I'd ever been. He was just significantly better at hiding it and living beyond his means. I made a calculated decision. My acquisitions team quietly, discreetly bought out whatever remained of Derek's business assets. Properties, investments, business partnerships, everything. Including, and this is my favorite part, the luxury penthouse apartment that he and Jessica were currently living in. Everything Derek had left was now mine. I invited him to meet me at one of my hotels under the pretense of a potential business opportunity. I watched through the glass as he walked into the private lounge with that forced confidence, ordered an expensive drink he probably couldn't afford, tried desperately to maintain his crumbling facade of success. Then I sat down across from him and slid a thick folder across the polished table. "Your company's finished," I said calmly, almost conversationally. "Your finances are completely destroyed. You're drowning in debt. And as of 3 days ago, I own everything you had left." The color drained from his face so fast I thought he might actually faint. His hands visibly shook as he opened the folder and flipped through page after page of legal documents, transaction records, signed agreements. Everything was there in black and white, undeniable, legally binding proof. "You planned this," he choked out, his voice barely working. "You orchestrated all of this." "No, Derek," I corrected him with a slight smile. "You planned this when you built your entire life on borrowed money, lies, and arrogance. I just saw an opportunity and took it. Business is business." "You're a fool," he hissed, rage and humiliation mixing in his voice. I smiled wider. "Maybe, but I'm a fool who owns the penthouse you and Jessica are currently living in. I own that BMW you drive around pretending you can afford. All of it. You have exactly 30 days to vacate my properties." He tried to threaten me, but we both knew his words were completely empty. He had no leverage, no power, nothing. I stood up, adjusted my suit jacket, and walked out, leaving Derek Morrison sitting there drowning in the ruins of his own failures and lies. That same evening, Jessica showed up at my hotel. Security called up to my office to let me know she was in the lobby, asking desperately to see me. I almost told them to send her away, but curiosity won out. I was genuinely interested in what she could possibly have to say now. I had Charlotte escort her up to the private rooftop terrace. I was standing there leaning against the glass railing, watching the city lights twinkle below when she arrived. She looked exhausted, desperate, defeated, like a woman who'd been running full speed towards something that had suddenly disappeared. "I didn't know where else to go," she said quietly, her voice small. "You're not here because you have nowhere else to go, Jessica," I replied without turning around. "You're here because you have no one left to turn to. There's a difference." She flinched visibly, but didn't deny it. I turned to face her finally. "What do you want?" "I don't know," she admitted, and for the first time she actually sounded honest. "I just needed to see you. You saw me 3 days ago. You saw what I built. You saw the life you said I'd never have, the success you said was impossible. I was wrong," she whispered. "I was so wrong about everything." I shook my head slowly. "That's the understatement of the century." I took a step closer to her. "Do you even remember the last thing you said to me the night you left?" She went noticeably pale, clearly remembering. "I do," I continued, my voice quiet but sharp as a blade. "You said, 'I can't waste my prime years waiting for you to become someone.' And now, here you are wanting to come back specifically because I became someone, because I became everything you thought was impossible." "That's not true," she protested weakly, but there was no conviction in her voice. "Isn't it? Be honest with yourself, if not with me. You don't love me, Jessica. You never did, or at least not in any way that mattered. You love what I have now. You love the security, the success, the status, the lifestyle. You love the idea of standing beside me now that I'm at the top of the mountain." Tears started welling up in her eyes. "I did love you back then. I swear I did, Daniel." Maybe once upon a time she had. Maybe in the very beginning, before the struggle got too real, before her patience ran out, it had been genuine. But love that vanishes the moment times get hard, love that can't weather the storm, that's not really love at all. "Even if that were true," I said quietly, "it doesn't matter anymore. That was a different lifetime." Her voice cracked. "You really won't give me another chance? Not even one?" I looked at her clearly, really seeing her for who she was. "I've already moved on, Jessica, completely." Her breath caught sharply. I didn't elaborate because I didn't need to. The truth was hanging there between us, undeniable and final. About 2 years ago, I'd met someone special, another entrepreneur who'd built her own successful tech startup from absolutely nothing. Someone who genuinely understands the grind, who celebrates ambition and hard work, who was there supporting me before the billions, before the empire. We've been together for 18 months now, and she's everything Jessica never was. Patient, supportive, genuinely proud of me. "Goodbye, Jessica," I said with finality. She stood there frozen for a long moment, maybe hoping I'd change my mind, maybe hoping for some last-minute miracle. But when I didn't say anything else, she finally turned and walked away. The elevator doors closed behind her and she was gone. For good this time. Forever. I stood there alone on the rooftop, looking out at the city I'd conquered. The same city that had once watched me struggle and fail and nearly break. I'd built this empire from literally nothing, from the ashes of my worst moment. I'd proven everyone wrong who doubted me. And most importantly, I'd freed myself completely from a past that had tried so hard to define me as a failure. The best revenge isn't wealth or power or even public humiliation. It's knowing that the person who abandoned you, who told you that you weren't good enough, now desperately wants back into your life. And you genuinely don't want them anymore. Not out of spite or lingering bitterness, but because you've actually authentically moved on to something infinitely better. I finished my drink slowly and headed home. Life's pretty damn good these days, honestly better than I ever imagined it could be. Business is expanding faster than we can keep up with. We just broke ground on properties in 3 new countries. My girlfriend and I just moved in together into a penthouse that makes Derek's old place look like a college dorm. We're planning a month-long trip to the Maldives next quarter, just because we can, just because we want to. Jessica and Derek. I heard through mutual acquaintances that they broke up about 2 months after everything came crashing down. Apparently, he blamed her for ruining his reputation and making him look bad, which is absolutely rich considering he'd ruined everything himself with his lies and financial irresponsibility. Last I heard, they'd both moved separately to small apartments on the opposite side of the city, far from the luxury lifestyle they'd pretended to have. Sometimes, usually late at night when I'm alone with my thoughts, I think about that night when Jessica left me, when I was sitting alone in that cramped, depressing apartment, wondering if I'd ever be enough for anyone, wondering if she was right about me being a failure. I wish I could go back in time and tell that broken version of myself, "You're going to be more than enough. You're going to build something incredible that exceeds your wildest dreams." And the person who couldn't see your worth, who walked away when you needed her most, will one day come crawling back begging for another chance, and you won't even want it. You'll have moved so far beyond her that she becomes irrelevant. That's the real victory. Not the money, not the empire, not even the satisfaction of watching them fall apart. It's the genuine, authentic freedom of not caring anymore, of being so completely fulfilled by your current life that the past literally cannot touch you or hurt you anymore. The universe has this strange, poetic sense of justice sometimes. Jessica thought she was trading up when she left me for Derek. She thought she was making the smart, practical choice, securing her future. Turns out she was throwing away the winning lottery ticket right before the numbers were drawn. She bet against me becoming someone, and now she gets to live with that catastrophically bad decision for the rest of her life, watching from a distance as I continue to build and grow and succeed beyond anything she imagined possible. The best closure, the best revenge, the best life. It's just living well, living so extraordinarily, authentically well that revenge becomes completely irrelevant because you're too busy being happy to care about the past.